You're ready, right? Steve?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to call to order the February 8, 2017 meeting of the Committee on Finance, Audit, and Budget. Will the Secretary call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Irvine?
Here.
Mr. Peterson? Here. Mr. Youngblood?
Here.
Ms. Alvarez will not be here today. Chairman Silva?
Here.
We have a quorum with 5 members of the committee present.
Our first order of business is the approval of the committee minutes of January 11, 2017. The minutes were previously distributed. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Will the Secretary call the roll,
Yes.
please?
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Irvine?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Mr. Youngblood?
Yes.
Chairman Silva?
Yes.
That motion is approved with 5 yes votes.
Our next order of business is the review of the finance report. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the Board. I'm Michelle Curran, Vice President of Budget and Capital Finance, and I would like to highlight the December financial performance. December ended consistent with prior months with a year-to-date positive budget variance of $2.9 million overall, which is up $300,000 since November. To walk through the details on the revenue side, Farebox and past revenues are down to budget and down to December 2015, primarily due to a very cold December. Reduced fare subsidy is down to budget and down to December 2015 due to continued inaction in Springfield. Non-Farebox revenues are up to budget due to additional advertising revenues and down from December 2015. Total revenues are down to budget and down to December 2015 due to lower fare and pass revenue and reduced fare subsidy. The average fare is up to budget and up to 2015, and free rides are down about $800,000 due to continued enforcement as well as the severe cold weather in December. The year-to-date revenues follow similar trends as the monthly revenues. Farebox and pass revenues are down to budget and down year-to-date 2015, following trends on lower bus ridership and the impact of lower gas prices. Reduced fare subsidy is down to budget and down slightly to year-to-date 2015, following continued inaction in Springfield, and we expect this trend to continue until a state budget is passed. Non-Farebox revenues are up to budget and up from year-to-date 2015 due to additional advertising revenues. Total revenues are down to budget due to the reduced fare subsidy, but up from year-to-date 2015. Total revenues are down slightly year-to-date, but this is offset by the favorability on expenses. On the expenses side, labor is slightly negative to budget due to overtime. Material is down to budget due to timing of invoices, and fuel and power are slightly down to budget due to a year-end true-up for fuel, which is done every year. Provision for injuries and damages and security services are essentially flat. Other expenses are positive to budget, and overall, we have favorable to budget. On a year-to-date basis, labor is slightly unfavorable, but on a percentage basis is essentially flat. And the same is true with material. Fuel and power is very favorable due to the pre-purchase benefit, and provision for injuries and damages and security services is slightly unfavorable. Other expenses are very favorable due in part to expense controls, and overall, as I mentioned earlier, the results are favorable with revenues exceeding expenses by $2.9 million, which is up $300,000 since November. The favorability is mainly due to fuel, power, and other expenses. With regard to fuel, power, and natural gas, the year-to-date variances are positive across the board. We've locked in pricing for up to 80% of the 2017 volume, as well as a portion for 2018 for fuel and power. Locking in pricing early allows us to take advantage of historically low fuel prices and creates more budget certainty. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Not a question. I just wanted to commend Dorval and the team for finishing the year $2.9 billion to the good or in surplus in terms of the budget. I know I mentioned that I felt like sitting here doing board meetings like Groundhog Day, where every year we were seeing, ridership down, passes down, but wanting to make sure we were going to be able to balance the budget. So congratulations to Dorval and the team for doing that. The other thing that I would ask, and I don't know if you would have the information on you today, would be that except for the first 2 weeks of December when it was pretty cold and we had a little snow, we've had pretty much a mild winter. And just trying to see if we've been able to look at what the savings have been. I would say probably the last 8 weeks, I think, from the first 2 weeks in the middle of December to now, we haven't really had any measurable snowfall. The weather's been, while it's been in the 20s, but I recall last year, we were running through windshield wiper blades, running through salt and all of that. So hopefully we've realized some of the savings over the past 60 days just with the mild winter that we've been having as well.
Okay. We'll look into
Any other questions? Can you tell us a little bit, okay, of how the bonds sold, okay? I mean, I know that we did, okay, the selling of the bonds last month.
Yes. So we sold the bonds in the middle of January and closed January 24th. We had a very good sale. We had over 70 investors and orders for over $1 billion, which allowed us to reduce pricing in certain maturities. And the overall interest rate was a 4.63%, and this allows us to fund key projects such as RPM, Your New Blue, Red Line Extension.
Good, very good. Thank you. Any other questions?
Are we still looking at different vendors for our services as far as our commodities like fuel and power and things of that nature?
Yes, the contract is up later this year, so we will be going out with a new RFP. We've got a list of vendors already identified. We'll be advertising in the newspaper as well as on CTA's website to attract potential other interested parties. So we will be going out later this year with an RFP for that, for the energy provider services.
Yes, we'll also work closely with diversity to make sure that we're reaching out to minority-owned firms who may also be interested in this opportunity. So we're going to put out a very wide net to make sure that we can maximize the opportunity for DBE and other participation.
Any other questions?
Okay,
Since there are no further questions, thank you, Michelle.
thank you.
Our final order of business is the review of 8 purchase and sales award recommendations. Presenter, Ellen McCormick. It's a short. We will start with numbers A1 through A3. Any questions, please?
I've got a question on A3 again, just, even, I'm just always, when it comes to technology, why one bidder?
So Chairman, we did go out for bid on this twice, and in both instances, Apollo was the only bidder. It is their camera, and we are asking for maintenance, so they were the only bidder when we went out twice. Additionally, their price is competitive. It's within what our independent cost estimate was. So we feel like if we went out a third time, we don't really feel that we would gain anything beneficial.
So this is just going to become almost like a sole source then?
Well, we will continue to bid it out, and we do have a DBE subcontractor, so at some point, they may be able to possibly submit a bid.
And so you said it's their cameras. What's the life expectancy of the camera?
I would have to defer to the using group for that.
Good morning. Donald Bonds, Vice President of Vehicle Maintenance. The life expectancy is pretty long. It's about 7 to 8 years before we will have to go in and do any type of upgrades onto the system.
Now, I would just hope kind of going forward, I mean, once we use a vendor, you know, the board probably should know, guess what? Once we use the vendor, we're locked in for 10 to 15 years with no competition. I mean, it's their camera, so nobody else wants to bid on it to work on it, but to me, technology is technology. I don't know what's so unique about this particular camera, but I would just say kind of going forward, we need to just make sure that when we're bidding or we're awarding things, that we should open it up for others to be able to come in and say, I mean, it's just maintenance, really. This is a maintenance contract, right?
This part of the contract is for the maintenance of the equipment that has been installed. And compared to the other vendors that we look at for camera systems, Apollo provides the best system currently. They're providing part of the system is a 2 terabyte hard drive compared to others where we only get a smaller hard drive. Also, the additional cameras give us more visibility to find out what's going on the bus and outside of the bus.
We buy the cameras from them and the maintenance also, right?
Correct.
Well, we didn't go for a sole source, though. We did go out for bid. So if anyone else felt that they were capable of doing it, we would certainly have considered their bid. It's just that we did go out twice, and this was the only bidder, was Apollo.
I just don't have any way of comparing the maintenance costs if it's reasonable or not. I know it's their cameras and they're gonna do it. I just don't know a lot of times that the maintenance cost is,
So we request that staff submit an independent cost estimate of how much they think it would cost to repair the cameras, and they were right in line with that. If they were not, we would have tried to negotiate with them and bring it down. But they were right in line with the cost estimate. So we didn't feel we were being gouged. And again, we did go out twice to see if there was anyone else out there.
just say share with the board the analysis.
Okay, we'll have it to do that.
That way we-
Are the cameras made in the USA?
Seattle, I believe.
The main office is in Seattle, Washington, for Apollo.
Thanks.
Now, you
Any
said
other
you had a,
questions?
DBE that's contracted to do some of the work. What type of training are we giving to that DBE so they can train other DBEs to do similar work, so we'll have a larger bandwidth in which to try to focus on including more DBEs in this type of industry?
So the DBE actually receives the training because of the type of software it is, the DBE actually receives the type of training to make sure they can maintain it. But this DBE has worked with this company for years on these cameras, so they have the knowledge. Now, the ability for them to pass it on to other DBEs, I'm not sure about that, but what I can do is I can talk with Apollo about hosting events to talk about their system, and maybe they can draw in more DBEs to learn more about the system for next time.
Let's move to contracts B1 through B3. Any questions?
Yeah, Mary, I'm just curious as to why the DBE goal was so low on this particular,
Which one?
the B1, I'm sorry.
Oh, so this is a substation project, and so our substations are very special within work, and so we looked at the cost estimates, as we do with all of our DBE, and we look at past projects, and so the equation from our historical attainment plus what the cost estimates were for this particular project, it came out to be about 20%. But as always, we work with Clark Construction to make sure that if they can maximize the participation in any other way, they will, and they have agreed to that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, was trucking an opportunity? I didn't see, when I looked at the DBEs, I didn't see a trucking firm, anything, and that's, again, I was just
Yeah, not-
looking for ways
Not
to
that.
increase.
Yeah, I think Mary looked at it very carefully, and we supported that, obviously. Terry, there's also a lot of material procurement here. So the substation equipment that we put in makes up a large part of the purchase, and that typically comes directly from, from larger manufacturers. So even being able to introduce trucking in there becomes a challenge. Most of the compliance tends to come from some of the more general electrical work, and our DB electrical contractors who do actually pretty well in these jobs. And it also builds kind of a specialized skill for them that would pertain to larger projects in the future like RLE and RPM. So I think Mary and the team are cognizant of building that skill forward into larger projects as well.
Let's move to contract E1. Any questions?
Before you went, I would just say on B3, I just want to make sure that you report back to the board in terms of the DBE goal. I mean, it's a pretty big contract, $70 million, and I know we haven't awarded, we've got a pool of vendors. But I'd like for, as we award the contracts, to report back to the board in terms of DBE participation.
Of course.
We can structure that similar to the mid-con or jock contracts that we report back on a monthly basis, so.
And is there any way to, and Mary, this is something you could get to me later or to the board later, one, trying to just see if any of the DBEs have worked with us in the past. You know, because I'm always about trying to build capacity. And when I look at work like this, where they working on the rail line reconstruction, Your New Blue, you know, anything that we've worked, it's just always good to see these companies continue to grow and get bigger, some of the DBEs. So when you have an opportunity to go back and take a look, it'd be great to know this is a third project, whether it's fourth project, that we continue to grow their capacity.
Of course.
Let's move to E1. Any questions? Let's move to G1. Any questions? If there are no further questions, may I have leave to place these 8 contracts on the omnibus for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Since there is no further business to come before this committee, may I have a motion to recommend board approval of the omnibus?
So moved.
May I have a second? Will the secretary call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Irvine?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood?
Yes.
Chairman Silva?
Yes,
The motion is approved with 5 yes votes, sir.
we are adjourned.
We need a motion to adjourn, sir.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. cell phones, and we should be able to begin now since it's 10 o'clock. Thank you all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled meeting of Chicago Transit Board for February the 8th, 2017, with the secretary calling the roll.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Irvine.
Here.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood.
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez will not be here today. Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
We have a quorum with 5 members of the board present.
Thanks, Greg. The next order of business today is public comment. Greg?
Yes, we have one speaker today, Mr. Lionel Saffold. Mr. Saffold, just please seat yourself right up there in front of the microphone, and if you would please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or so, we would appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Peterson and members of the board. Again, my name is Lionel Saffold. I am the Director of the Security Division for SEIU Local 1. First, I would like to just thank you all for the stewardship over the taxpayers' money. I listened in on your budget report earlier, and I was very impressed that you all take serious on contractors and that you're getting the best and the most out of those contractors, and are you making smart decisions? And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. First, I would like to bring to your attention that we believe that Digby Detective Security Agency, who was awarded a 5-year contract, up to $10 million in 2014, we believe Digby Security Agency is an irresponsible contractor that does not offer officers a living wage, affordable benefits, and a voice on the job. We believe that this holds an entire city back, and it hurts men and women who are trying to make ends meet. We also believe that this is a serious concern that Digby's fitness to administer such a large contract. In 2016, Digby officers working at the Cook County Hospital Systems was informed by the board of directors that Digby was failing to meet wage and benefits required under the contract. The company later lost that contract at the Cook County, and the Cook County Commission on Human Rights opened up an investigation into allegations of wage theft. 15 security officers submitted wage theft complaints to the Cook County, asserting that they were owed over $186,000. Furthermore, Digby was the 4th highest in the initial bid of the 2014 CTA. That means there were 6 other responsible contractors who should have been given an opportunity before Digby. We have requested that the CTA records to understand this rationale and reasoning behind this decision. Why would they give Digby, who was the 4th highest bidder, this contract? But that being said, we're surprised that the CTA would choose to award this large contract to such an irresponsible contractor. Taking these issues into consideration, we're asking that the CTA to reconsider its use of Digby Security Agency. This work needs to be done by a responsible contractor that respects the officers and offer them a voice on the job. There are many responsible contractors who can provide CTA with top-tier services while avoiding headaches that Digby brings to the table. We'd like for you also to please consider visiting responsiblecontractorguide.com to find up to a list of responsible contractors. Again, responsiblecontractorsguide.com is a list of responsible contractors. We believe CTA and its workers deserve better than what Digby has to offer, and a history of irresponsible labor practices that they, in our opinion, sets the city back. And I will open up for questions if anyone has it.
Mr. Saffold, there won't be, anyway, I'll leave that
Sure.
up to the chairman, but the 3 minutes is up, so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
for your comment.
And I'll leave some additional information if anyone wants to follow up.
Yeah, I was going to say, any information you can leave with Greg, and we will have management look into Digby security contract and report back to the board. But thank you for bringing this to our attention. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you.
And Mr. Saffold, if you would just please be seated again, we have someone from purchasing will be happy to meet with you.
Thank you very much.
As soon as they come down. Thank you, sir. That concludes today's public comment section, Chairman Peterson.
Thanks, Greg. Our next order of business today is the approval of the January 11th, 2017 board minutes that were previously distributed. I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of January 11th, 2017.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Irvine.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood,
Yes.
Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion is approved with 5 yes votes.
Thanks, Greg. The next order of business is executive session. It is my understanding, Brad, that there will be an executive session today.
Yes, Chairman Peterson, there will be an executive session pursuant to Section 2, paragraph C, subparagraphs 5 and 11 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
Thanks, Brad. I now entertain a motion to recess into executive session for reasons so stated by council.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Irvine.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood.
Yes.
Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion to recess into executive session is approved with 5 yes votes, sir.
I would like to now entertain a motion to return to open meeting.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Irvine,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood,
Yes.
Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion to return to open meeting is passed with 5 yes votes.
Thanks, Greg. The next order of business is board item number 4A. Brad?
This is a recommendation to authorize the authority's purchase of a parcel of real property that's located at 3366 to 68 North Clark and 947 to 55 West Roscoe in Chicago, Illinois. The property was previously approved by the board for acquisition as parcel 11 in ordinance number 015117, and it's the subject of a condemnation proceeding. The CTA has now reached an agreement with the seller, Thomas Investors Limited Liability Company, to purchase the property for $5,140,000 and to enter into an agreed order to resolve the condemnation lawsuit. Staff recommends that the property purchase be approved by the board.
Thanks, Brad. I'll now entertain a motion to approve an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of parcel of real property located at 3366 to 68 North Clark and 947 West Roscoe.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Irvine,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood,
Yes.
Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion is approved with 5 yes votes.
Our next order of business is board item number 4B. Brad?
This is a recommendation to authorize the authority's purchase of a parcel located at 5323 North Kedzie. This parcel is immediately adjacent to the CTA's North Park Garage, which has a constrained footprint, and the property would allow future expansion of that garage. The property is owned by the estate of Marion A. Teague, and its price was recently reduced from $379,000 to $289,000. The seller has now agreed to a purchase price of $215,000, which staff recommends be approved by the board.
Thanks, Brad. I now entertain a motion to approve an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property located at 5323 North Kedzie, adjacent to the North Park Bus Garage.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Irvine,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood,
Yes.
Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion is approved with 5 yes votes.
Our next order of business today is board item number 4C. Brad?
This is a settlement recommended by the Law Department to resolve the lawsuit of Michael Whitehead versus CTA and Ronald Stubbs. The lawsuit involves an accident that occurred between a CTA bus and a pedestrian on December 6, 2010, when the bus encountered ice as it approached the bus shelter on 60th Street between University and Woodlawn. At the time, the plaintiff was walking to his utility truck, which was parked in the street just past the bus stop. The bus was unable to stop and collided with the plaintiff and plaintiff's truck, as well as a tree. The plaintiff incurred several severe crushing injuries to his lower extremities and pelvis, as well as injuries to his head. The Law Department recommends that the lawsuit be resolved and settled for an amount of $10 million.
Thanks, Brad. I now entertain a motion to approve the following settlement recommendation for $10 million, Michael Whitehead versus CTA and Ronald Stubbs, Circuit Court of Illinois, Cook County, court number 2011 L1008.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Irvine,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood,
Yes.
Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion to approve the court settlement is approved with 5 yes votes, sir.
Thanks, Greg. The next order of business is board matters. Each of the 3 ordinances have been distributed for review. Given that, I will now entertain a motion to approve the following 3 ordinances. Appointing a trustee to the Board of Trustees of the Retirement Plan for Chicago Transit Authority employees. Appointing a trustee to the Board of Trustees for Chicago Transit Authority Healthcare Trust. Appointing Michelle Curran, Assistant Treasurer of the Chicago Transit Authority.
So moved?
Second.
And second, for all 3 ordinances.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Irvine,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood,
Yes.
Chairman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion is approved with 5 yes votes.
Thanks, Greg. The next order of business is a report from the Committee on Finance, Budget, and Audit. Director Silva.
The Committee on Finance, Audit, and Budget met earlier this morning. The committee reviewed the finance report and approved the January minutes. The committee also reviewed the following: 8 purchases and sale recommendations. The committee reviewed all of these items, recommended board approval for all of these items, and placed each item on the omnibus for board approval. That concludes my report, Chairman.
Thank you, Director Silva. May I now have a motion to approve the omnibus as stated by Director Silva?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Irvine?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood?
Yes.
Chairman Peterson?
Yes.
The motion to approve the omnibus passes with 5 yes votes.
Thanks, Greg. The next order of business is construction report. Chris.
Chris Buchel, your Chief Infrastructure Officer, and
Mary Person, Director of Diversity Program.
so today we're presenting on 4 projects. You'll see a new project up there, Illinois Medical District. We'll get to that in just a moment. So 95th, work continues on schedule and on budget. We continue to enjoy the benefits of a relatively mild winter, although I'll knock on wood. We're still in February and are continuing with a lot of the underground work that will support the construction of the new South Terminal and the new North Terminal. Much of that work is extremely complicated because of the yard movements in that area and the interlockings on both sides of the new station. So we need to do a lot of not just putting the foundations in and all the trenching and issues associated with that, but also move a lot of electrical, install new signal, and correspondingly make sure that all the drainage structures that are underneath that take the water away from our systems are also in place. So you see some detail relative to that here. So, you know, what does that mean in terms of work on the ground? You can see the installation of signal cases. So these are the various processors and other equipment that safely move trains through that area. So we're in the process of installing and testing that effort relative to how we're going to be moving trains through there in the future as we build this terminal. Again, we're kind of in the process of not just putting in the subsystems to support the building, but also sort of envisioning creating real estate, if you will, for the contractor to do the miscellaneous construction that's getting ready to spring up out of the ground here. You'll very shortly start to see steel kind of coming off of these foundations. So you kind of get a picture from the bridge here of you know, what the type of excavation and work that's occurring to reconfigure the interlockings to the south. You can kind of see that we have enjoyed a little bit of good weather in terms of being able to get into the ground and get in efficiently.
So Chris, just kind of getting back to the warm weather, with contracts like this over extended period of time, is there like costs built into, you know, no one can predict what kind of a winter we're gonna have, but is there cost built into maybe, you know, things taking a little bit longer? So when you have a mild winter like this, are there potential for cost savings with the contractors being able to kind of work year round?
You know, we look to gain schedule wherever we can and to get advantage, particularly with activities that are sort of in the critical path of finishing the work. You know, anytime that goes to our advantage and there's any changes to the contract, we're able to negotiate positively on those. Generally speaking, when we have bad weather, we see delays and there are costs associated with that. We don't typically recover when there's good weather. So we seek to recover schedule, from which we get indirect savings. So that would be I would say, the best explanation. There is, you know, the risk for weather generally sits on the contractor, so the benefit for good weather generally returns to the contractor would be the typical structure of how
So
these
they
are.
win either way. So they get paid if it's bad weather, and, okay.
What's
They
the,
get paid if it's good weather.
Well, we don't exactly, if it's bad weather, we don't exactly relax the schedule requirements for them. So in the case of bad weather, it really does cost them more money to do business. I mean, in this particular case, we've been able to, you know, do the work more efficiently and advance the schedule on this extremely complex project. So So generally speaking, the contractor is working very closely with us, and the work is progressing as necessary.
What is the projected date for?
We'll be opening the south terminal, the end of this year, beginning of the first quarter, and then the new north terminal at the end of 18.
18.
So Wilson also continues the work. We're working predominantly on Track 3 and on the east platform. So that work continues on schedule and on budget as well. That project, as you know, will wrap up at the end of this year. The Track 3 area, we're looking to open that track pretty shortly in the end of the first quarter here. That doesn't have a big customer-facing impact other than maybe a slightly smoother ride through the area as we take Track 4 out of service and begin that replacement process. We also are working, the contractor is working on the new east platform. You'll see some photographs of that as well. These are new pieces of structure that are being installed in the area of Leland about a month ago. Here you can see parts of the new east canopy. So you're seeing that from the west canopy. Most of you have seen pictures from the air showing how much larger and comfortable those new platforms are. This is the construction of the new Track 3. So this work has continued through the winter. So here would be a case, Terry, where, in the contractor's bid is based on them doing this efficiently, but in the winter it's less efficient because of the types of structures they have to do. When they're pouring concrete. So understanding they're going to incur more cost in the wintertime, we don't really see savings though directly if the weather is warmer. We just see schedule advantage where we can get it. So, and generally this project is running favorable to schedule. Construction of the new Sunnyside ramp steel. So the Ravenswood Loop project is underway. You've seen mostly photographs relative to the installation of the miscellaneous. We do a lot of cabling. These projects, these signal projects are a lot about hanging cable, and then they're about putting new processing equipment that allows trains to move safely through an area. So at the moment, we've got a lot of that work going on. We have the installation of platforms that equipment will sit on, so that gets put up by miscellaneous iron workers. New foundations are just starting for the 3 new houses that are out there. There's 3 new relay houses that house all this processing equipment. And then there's a lot of work behind the scenes as the processors are getting made. The houses will shortly, as they're fabricated, will get sent to the signal manufacturer, and they'll be wired there, cabled rather. So a lot of the work that will get installed on the right-of-way is happening in various ways behind the scenes at the moment on this project. It's moving towards a first quarter of 2018 completion date. You can see some of these pictures. I apologize, they're not particularly exciting, but they give you an idea of what those brackets look like and some of the complexities associated with the lane closures and the other work that they have to do to support it. If you're walking downtown, you see all those cables. The vast majority of them actually are not traction power cables. They're cables to support the signaling systems and how the different devices out there talk to each other. So the new project that we have up here is the Illinois Medical District. This is a TIF-funded $23 million renovation of the Illinois Medical District. The station, the biggest piece of work is at Ogden. We just closed Damon recently to fix it up. We're starting the foundations and the other things for the new elevator at Ogden shortly. We did some temporary work at the Paulina station, which I'm sure folks are aware of, to make that accessible while we close other entrances. I thought that the media folks did a great job of sort of getting out in front of this project and explaining its impacts to the community. Again, I apologize for the pictures. This is really just some photographs of temporary work at Paulina that we're doing in order to create an accessible entrance there. We'll come back and do later work as we complete the other entrances.
And Chris, what's the timeline again?
It'll be completed at the end of the year.
Okay.
We're also in the process of evaluating storm damage out there and how we can address that in this contract as well. You'll remember we had a significant windstorm in that area and damage associated with it.
Any conversations with CDOT regarding that overpass? there in Paulina?
Other than to consistently remind them of the need to replace the wearing surface, no. But they are aware of the issue and are actively seeking funding for it.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Our next order of business today is new business. Is that
No,
new
sir.
business?
There's no new business today, sir.
Okay, since there are no new business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.